You need to lower your voice or leave this branch. The manager's words snapped through the lobby like a whip. He stood tall behind the counter, sleeves rolled, tie askew. His name tag read Kyle S. His eyes scanned the lobby, waiting for someone, anyone, to applaud his authority. But no one moved. Across from him stood a black man in a charcoal suit, neatly pressed, no tie, calm expression, no raised voice, no threats, just a folder in his left hand. "I haven't said a word since I walked in," the man replied, his voice low. "You came in filming," Kyle snapped. "That's a privacy violation. You can't record in here." "I'm not filming," he said simply. "The phone is in my pocket." Kyle's chest heaved slightly. "Then what's the issue? You've been standing there staring at me for 10 minutes. I've been waiting for you to stop making assumptions." Kyle's mouth twitched. "Assumptions?" The man finally stepped forward. One calm step. "You assumed I was here too. Argue? You assumed I was lost. You assumed I didn't belong in a place where accounts start with 7 zeros. A woman at a nearby desk shifted uncomfortably. Kyle scoffed. "Look, I've dealt with your type before." The man raised a brow. "My type?" Kyle faltered. "I meant people who walk in expecting special treatment." The man opened his folder, pulled out a document. "This is the ownership registration for this branch." Kyle stared, confused. "Effective last quarter. This location is part of a privately acquired portfolio of underperforming franchises." The woman at the desk suddenly froze. Her fingers stopped mid-keystroke. The man held up a second page. "The holding company, Calder Equity, is mine. I'm the silent partner." Kyle's lips parted. "You own this branch?" "I do." Silence. "I've spent the last 6 months auditing my own investments," he added. "You failed mystery compliance checks 3 times, misfiled 3 loan applications, denied approval for small business funding based on unstated criteria." Kyle stumbled backward slightly. I didn't know." "Because you didn't ask," the man said. "You never asked who I was. You just assumed you knew." Kyle looked to the woman for help. She looked down. The man didn't raise his voice. "You speak loud when you think someone's beneath you, but the volume doesn't make you right." Kyle's face turned pale. "I've watched the security footage. I've read the emails. I've seen how you treat people who walk in looking like me." Kyle swallowed hard. "This is a misunderstanding." "No," the man said, closing the folder. "This was a lesson." He turned to walk out, paused. "You're on probation," he said, "but it's not your job I'm after." Kyle exhaled, relieved. "It's your certainty." He walked out of the branch. No one spoke for a long time, and for the first time in months, Kyle couldn't look anyone in the eye. Next morning, Kyle sat at his desk, staring at a blinking cursor. The email came in at 6:03 a.m. Subject, internal. Review notice. Immediate. He read it twice, hoping the words might change. They didn't. He looked around. The same desks, same sunlight cutting across the lobby, but something had shifted. Even the coffee tasted colder, or maybe that was just his nerves. Dana, the assistant manager, approached. Quiet steps, no clipboard. In hand, just the tension of someone who didn't want to be part of the conversation. "Corporate called," she said. Kyle nodded. "I know. They're sending someone from Equity." He looked up sharply. "Today. Already on the way." He leaned back. "You believe what he said yesterday?" Dana didn't answer right away. "I believe what I saw." Kyle swallowed. "He set me up." "No," she said calmly. "You revealed yourself." Silence. "You ever seen him before?" he asked. "Once," she said. "Months ago. He came in early, talked to a teller, asked questions about how we treat walk-ins. Left without saying much." Kyle looked down at his hands. "He didn't even raise his voice." "That's what made it worse," she said. "He didn't have to." They both looked toward the glass doors as a black SUV pulled up. Out stepped The same man from yesterday. This time he wore no suit jacket, just a black dress shirt, sleeves rolled to the forearms. Still quiet, still composed. Kyle stood. The man walked in like he owned the floor, because he did. "Mr. Miles," Kyle said, extending a hand. Miles didn't take it. Kyle let his arm fall. "I want to apologize." Miles nodded once. "You should." Dana stood nearby, watching. "I judged you wrong," Kyle said, voice cracking slightly. "No," Miles said. "You judged me exactly how you were taught to. The difference is now, you're being held accountable for it." Kyle looked stunned. "So this is personal?" "This is structural," Miles replied. "But you made it personal when you spoke before thinking, when you policed my presence instead of serving it." Dana stepped forward, almost in a whisper. "What happens now?" Miles looked at her. "This location is going under full review, leadership rotation, training, real training, not just check-the-box stuff." He turned back to Kyle. "You'll be shadowed. Every interaction logged. Every decision reviewed." Kyle tried to straighten up. "And if I cooperate, you might keep your job," Miles said. "And if I don't, you'll prove I was right about you." The room stayed silent. Miles walked past him, heading into the staff meeting room. Kyle didn't follow. He just stood there, the man who thought he had power, now surrounded by people who saw the truth and remembered the silence that followed it. The staff meeting room was never this full. 10 chairs lined the wall. 3 more were brought in from the break area. A few stood along the back, arms folded, unsure whether they were spectators or participants. Miles sat at the head of the table. No documents, no screens, just presence. "I'm not here to embarrass anyone," he began, "but I won't protect comfort over clarity." No one spoke. "You've all worked under Kyle for some time. Some of you may like him, others not so much. That's not the point." He looked around, held every gaze. "The point is, what did you allow?" One woman near the end of the table, white, mid-30s marketing officer, shifted uncomfortably. I didn't know who you were." Miles nodded. "You didn't have to. You just had to recognize that yelling at a calm customer isn't policy. But you looked away." Her lips tightened. She didn't argue. He continued. "When someone in a hoodie walks in, do we greet them with the same tone as someone in a blazer? When someone's name is unfamiliar, do we lean in or look past?" A teller raised her hand slightly. "Sometimes I don't know what to say." "Then say nothing," Miles said gently. "But don't fake courtesy while hiding judgment." Man in the back spoke next. "Are you saying we're all guilty?" "I'm saying silence isn't neutral," Miles said. "It's a choice. And the people who've been hurt by that silence don't get to opt out." He turned to Dana. "You ever seen someone mistreated here?" Dana hesitated. "Yes." "Did you report it?" She lowered her eyes. "No." "Why not?" A long beat. "Because I didn't think it would matter." Miles nodded once. "That's the system's greatest trick, convincing good people they're powerless." Another voice chimed in, soft but steady, a black intern, young, nervous. "When I started, Kyle asked if I got in through a diversity program. He said it like a compliment." Everyone looked at Kyle. He didn't respond. Miles leaned forward. "Words don't vanish just because they weren't shouted. They linger, and sometimes they bury people." The room fell into a loaded hush. "I'm not here to be liked," Miles added, "but I am here to make sure none of you walk back into this room pretending you don't know better." He stood. "Because now you do." The meeting ended not with applause, not with argument, but with the kind of silence that means something finally sunk in. The sun had dipped, lower in the sky, casting long golden lines through the glass partitions. Most of the staff had cleared out, quietly like they were leaving a funeral. Only the intern remained. He sat in the break room, elbows on the table, untouched coffee cooling beside him. Miles stepped in, didn't announce himself, just pulled. out the chair across from him and sat down. The intern looked up. "I didn't think you'd come." Miles nodded once. "Didn't think you'd stay." "I almost didn't," the intern said. "Didn't want to say the wrong thing." Miles looked at him for a moment, then said, "Say the thing that scares you." The intern hesitated, then slowly, "I thought if I just worked hard, kept my head down, eventually they'd see me." "They saw you," Miles said. "They just didn't look." The words hit harder than a yell. "I watched you in that meeting," the intern whispered. "You didn't even raise your voice. You don't have to scream when you carry truth, but it still hurts," he said. "Being invisible." Miles leaned forward. "It's worse when you start to believe you're meant to be." The intern looked away. "What's your name?" Miles asked. "Jaden," he said. "Jaden Walker." "Jaden," Miles repeated. "That's not a placeholder. That's a name they'll remember." Jaden laughed under his breath. "Maybe. Now, after all this, not because of me," Miles said, "because of what you said." Jaden shook his head. "I didn't say much." "You said enough," Miles replied. "And next time, say more." Jaden looked up. "What if they don't listen?" Miles nodded. "Then speak louder, not in volume, in presence, in preparation, in posture. Let your existence disrupt the assumptions." Jaden held on to that. Miles stood. "You don't have to be their version of professional to be excellent." Jaden stood with him. "How do you stay calm?" Miles exhaled. "Because I've already survived worse. They can't take what they never gave me." Jaden smiled, a small one but real. Miles placed a card on the table. "When you're ready for a bigger room, call me." Jaden picked it up slowly. "You mean that?" Miles looked him in the eye. "I don't say things I don't mean." Jaden watched him leave. For the first time since walking into that building, he didn't feel like he was shrinking to fit the space. He felt like maybe, just maybe, the space would have to grow to hold him. Miles was gathering his notes when he heard footsteps behind him. Hurried, nervous. "Kyle," he said without turning, "you knew I'd come." Most people try to explain when there's nothing left to say. Kyle exhaled hard. "Look, I need you to know that I didn't mean for any of this to happen." Miles turned, face unreadable. "You didn't mean to yell at me?" Kyle blinked. I didn't know who you were." "That's the point," Miles said. "You thought I was nobody. That made it easy." Kyle stepped closer. "I had a bad day. I was short-staffed. It wasn't personal." "You raised your voice at the only black man in the lobby, Kyle." Kyle hesitated. "But you were standing there just watching me." "I was watching how you treated people. You failed." Kyle's voice dropped. "So what? I'm just the villain now?" Miles looked at him long enough for the silence to grow heavy. "You're not the villain," he said, "but you're not the victim either." Kyle's eyes narrowed. "You came in here like you wanted me to fail." "No," Miles replied. "I came in hoping you'd prove me wrong." Kyle looked like he'd been slapped. "I didn't know I was being tested," Miles nodded. "Exactly. And how you act when no one's watching? That's the real measure." Kyle's voice cracked. "Well, what do I do now?" Miles tilted his head. "You learn. You listen. You shut up when someone tells you they've been dismissed. You don't call it a misunderstanding. You call it what it is." Kyle swallowed. "And if I do all that, will people forget?" Miles stepped past him. "They don't have to forget," he said. "But they might start trusting you again. If you earn it." Kyle stayed behind. Not angry, not defensive, just quiet. For once, the bank lobby looked the same. Chairs aligned, light jazz humming from unseen speakers. The scent of fresh coffee lingered near the front desk, but something had changed. Miles stood near the glass entrance, watching people come and go. Nobody yelled, nobody rushed to assumptions. Dana approached, clipboard in hand, eyes still cautious. "The regional rep just left. Said we passed the preliminary review." Miles nodded. "You'll keep your title?" She hesitated. "They offered me Kyle's position." He looked at her. I turned it down, she added. Not because I'm not qualified, but because I don't want to step into power until I know I'll use it differently. Miles gave the faintest smile. Then you're already qualified. She folded the clipboard to her chest. You could have fired us all. I didn't come to punish, he said. I came to reveal. She took a breath. What if it happens? Again, it will, he said. But next time someone will speak sooner. That's what this was for. Dana nodded slowly. You're leaving? I was never staying. He looked around once more, at the people moving with more caution, at the staff walking with more awareness. Not fear, just the heavy knowledge of what it means to be seen. He stepped outside into the fading light. Jaden stood near the corner, watching from across the street. Not waiting, just witnessing. Miles raised a hand in a subtle wave. Jaden nodded back. Two men, two versions of a story too familiar, but no longer ignored. Miles walked toward his car. No fanfare, no press, just a man who entered a room where he was silenced and left it quieter. Not because he shouted, because he made silence impossible. And in a world trained to dismiss the unseen, sometimes the greatest power is to be present, unshaken, unbothered, and unforgotten.